My name is David Orellana. I am the creator and founder of Suda Clothing. I started the brand probably now it's going to be 2 years in October, and yeah, it's great. And I'm based in Jackson Heights, New York, and everything's handmade, and it's all based on South American culture.
Why Suda? What is Suda exactly?
So it has to go back because I've always gone to college and went to design for school, and always wanted to have my own clothing line. I really wanted to just have something, and I was basically growing up in that time where there was a huge boom of street culture, and people had their own brands, and it was just like the influence. So I actually was interning in a couple of brands, and my goal was always like I want my brand, I want my brand. And then I started a couple with my friends, but it wasn't really successful. It didn't really go anywhere. So then a couple years later, I just kept doing it, just kept screen printing, kept designing, and then eventually Suda came from like a thought that I was like, what is something that could be part of me and that is design and that represents me? And what I thought was like, I'm really proud of where I come from, and like being an immigrant and being a kid that just moved around a lot. And Suda just came from being like, well, I'm from South America. I love the culture and the people and the countries, and it just clicked. It was one of those moments where I was like designing stuff, and I was like, that's the name. Like I went through a couple of names in the process of just trying to brand something. Yeah, and then it just hit me that I was like, okay, Suda, that makes sense. It's short, it's sweet, and it basically has a couple meanings. So for people that don't know, Suda comes from Sudamerica, which is the Spanish version of South America, and Suda also in Spanish means sweat, which is a big deal on the mantra that Suda has, which is create, fight, sweat. Is create what you want, fight for it, and sweat while you're doing it. So being a hardworking person, and we wanted to be a brand that represents a lot of those people. So everybody that is just hustling and that's doing stuff and just wants to be cool and wants to do their own thing, we want to be able to, give them something to be proud of and represent and inspirational about it.
Talk a little bit about how technology and the fact that things, I guess, DIY culture and 3D printing, things of that nature have led somebody like yourself to create their own brands. Maybe like 15, 20 years ago, it was like, oh, I had an idea, but they didn't really have the tools to make it happen the way you have now.
Yeah, no, definitely. The boom of technology, the boom of social media, that's helped a lot. Just push the brand further than it should go. Like the span of the course that we've been around. I've always been a big fan of making everything myself. So the do-it-yourself mentality was always since I was younger. But yeah, like the idea that you could have a brand that could launch and do this and be basically global at this point was very different back. Where you needed to hustle more, you need to know people, you needed to just put your stuff in stores and make sure you have contacts and all that stuff. So nowadays it's like it is a little bit easier with technology that with Instagram, with Facebook, with everything, having the online store, it's so much easier to build nowadays. So I would say it has helped a lot. And and whatever's happening in the future, I definitely want to make sure that it keeps it fresh and make sure it hits the right people with the right technologies.
Now you see a lot of kids, instead of going to the malls, malls are like a downswing and stuff. You see a lot of kids shopping online, shopping on mobile, shopping on their laptop. How is that influencing the way that creators like yourself make things?
Um, I would say the idea that the kids nowadays, or like anybody, a consumer that's they are so used to technology and they're so used to seeing stuff online and buying things online. It is a little bit easier for them to get what they want, and for us, it's great because the mentality is to become these independent brands, these small indie brands, how we call them, that have a more personal connection with people than if you, let's say, go to the mall and buy the next thing that the humongous like chain of the brand that has like all the chain stores has to offer for everybody. It becomes a little bit more unique, and I think a lot of people like that uniqueness of it. That you can come to, let's say our online store, or go to one of the fairs we do, and you get the shirt or you get whatever it is that I make. And it's unique to you because again, it's hand printed, it's done at a specific time, and there's not going to be another one the same as that. And I also do these one of a kind pieces that I launch on the site sometimes. So once you have that, it's yours, and nobody else will have it. And a lot of kids like that when they're like, oh yeah, I'm the only one that rocks that. I'm the only one that does that. So that's kind of cool. And I think it's a lot about the personal connection with it.
Is that different from maybe when we grew up, where okay, you got to get the Nikes now, and now kids go to Abercrombie and Fitch, and now kids will wear a sneaker that has no brand, no label, as long as it's their own, and they put their own imprint into it. Instead of going to Abercrombie and Fitch, they'll go on Instagram, like you mentioned, or Twitter, and look for like something that nobody else has. Mm-hmm. So how have you been able to use that to your advantage as a young entrepreneur?
I think I use that as an advantage from a point of that specific, that I want those kids, I want those people to be able to have that unique piece, that product or that T-shirt or that sneaker, whatever it is, that nobody else has. And it's for me, it's great because I love having that connection with the consumer, where when they're like, I've had a lot of emails, people ask me for this specific sweatshirt that it's hopefully coming out soon again, but they're like, do you have that again? Do you have that again? And I just love that people are just like constantly, they inspire you to create the next thing, and it's a it's a two-way communication with the consumer. It's not like you said, you go to Abercrombie or wherever, Nike or whatever store you go to, when it's like they dictated like, this is what you're going to wear, that's the trend for the year or whatever. It's more like this becomes an organic connection with the consumer.
Okay. Show us some of the styles you have there, the pieces.
Sure. So I'll show you one of these that we did. This is like done in, I think, March. That's one of the shirts that says shirts. Buenas noches, damas y caballeros.
Okay.
This one was inspiration for just the culture and the talking of people, and when you go to see the show, when you go to like any event, and any person that's kind of in the culture, Latin American culture, they will know that it's very respectful and very just like MC, that you go to a show and they're like, buenas noches, damas y caballeros, and like that was the idea. So it's kind of like introducing that shirt as like you're a part of something, that you're going to this event or whatever it is, but it was kind of that culture piece. It's also like these are one of the shirts that I started using different materials to print on. So this is actually not ink on it, it's more of a bleach style, which is called Discharge. So actually it's very soft on it, and you don't really have any ink on that, so it's actually just bleaching the shirt for that stencil.
Okay.
Then I have this shirt that I'm actually wearing now, La Resistencia. This is one of the second collection came out for the summer, and it was a shirt that a lot of people might not understand, but the actual person on the back of the shirt, it's Inca Rumiñahui. He was an Inca from Ecuador, well, the base of the culture, Ecuadorian culture. He was one of the last Incas to fight off the Spaniards by the end, and that's why it says Resistencia across the street, across the T-shirt, because he was part of that just force of just making sure that he was, fighting for something real, and it was just like a great homage to him.
Cool. And what do you gotta share some more if you want.
Sure. And then I have this. This is one we did for like the World Cup. It has in the back says Somos Uno. Playing on like the South American, like as we are one, and also just like the whole craze of the soccer World Cup fever that was happening, and just making sure that we were like part of it also. Plus, we love soccer, so that's always great.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, what are you working on for the fall, and when will it be available on Suda-NYC.com?
Yes. Well, right now we are playing a lot of ideas on music themed T-shirts and the garments. We are, there's a lot of inspiration coming from different music genres, and we recently went and we're at the LAMC, which is great, and just like a lot of inspiration for what's coming. So, expect to see a lot of stuff that play on just like old school bands, and new coming bands and things like that. Just kind of a sense of always, like a lot of people are rockers and just kids like to wear like, the Misfits shirts or any kind of band that they're representing. So we want to take a play on that also.
Thanks, David. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.